If you've ever asked, why is Meta sending all of my budget to just one ad set? You're not alone, guys. What's going on there, gang? It's your boy Jerry the Ad Wizard coming back at you with a brand new video. In this video, we're going to break down CBO versus ABO, when to use them, how they work, and why your campaign structure might be killing your ads without you even realizing it. I'm going to walk you through the exact framework we use when scaling 5 to 6 figure ad accounts, and how to decide where Meta should be spending your money. So guys, by the end of this video, you will learn 1. How Meta's CBO algorithm actually works. 2. When CBO is better than ABO and vice versa. What not to do in your campaign structure when testing new creatives. 3. What not to do when testing new creatives. 4. How we structure our ad accounts to scale while maintaining control. And lastly, the #1 mistake people make when forcing budget into a bad ad set. So guys, we're gonna get into it today. Grab your coffees and grab your hats. It's time to spin out some ad magic. So guys, the first thing I'd say, if you're seeing this in your Meta ad account, okay, I'm going to go through the new budget strategy settings, okay, in Advantage Plus, what the difference between CBO, ABO, when to use each one before I go into the new settings. It looks like Meta has been rolling out, so stick around to the end, guys. I'll go through that shortly. Okay guys, so I'm in the Meta Ad Manager, and I'm going to show you where CBO is, aka campaign budget optimization, where ABO is, aka ad set budget optimization, and where you can find each one, the purposes and the usefulness of each one. Okay, so we're going to go through now, guys, in the ad manager. So here, in order to show you, I'm just going to press create. I'm going to create a sales campaign just for now. We're going to go into not the Advantage Plus shopping campaign settings. We're going to go to the manual sales campaign settings. Now you set the budget at the campaign level, or you set the budget at the ad set level. CBO or ABO. What is the differences and what is the benefits of using CBO, for example? So CBO, if you're not sure, it can be found here at the campaign level. Okay, here is turned off as a default, is Advantage Campaign Budget Plus now, right? So you're going to press on here. This is now the new CBO settings. This is Campaign Budget Optimization, Campaign Budget Plus, right? The same, they've renamed it the same thing, and utilizing AI power to allocate budget across the whole campaign across what's working best. So CBO stands for Campaign Budget Optimization. Like I said, you basically give Meta one budget at the campaign level, say for example $100 a day at a campaign level, and then Meta distributes the budget depending on what's working. Okay, not evenly. It will push the budget to the things that are working in that campaign. Okay, it dynamically shifts the budget towards the best performing ad set. Okay, really cool. But this also means that some ad sets that might not have any spend at all. Now, using this image as an example, we have one campaign with different ad sets in them, all with different types of content in each ad set, where we're targeting the same audience. Okay, you see 4 ad sets here, all of them email subscribers. But what you'll notice on the right, for example, is the demonstration of how Meta might allocate some spend. It might allocate, say on the 3rd one down, it might allocate a bit more spend to that, even though it's the same audience. A smaller spend on other ad sets. It really depends where the ads are working. Okay, so it's ad set number 3 here, this one here. This one is actually working the best because it's getting the most of the spend. Now you can see here there is other uneven distributions of spend, and this is exactly what CBO is, right? It's going to put the emphasis on the things that are working and doubling down on those things that are working. So in this case, email subscribers ad set 3 is the one that is working, and therefore CBO is allocating most of its budget there, which you can see in the screen line here. Okay, that is the trade-off, guys. Now, what's the pros of this? Meta does a lot of the heavy lifting, right? Typically finds winning creators faster with larger audiences. Again, with segmenting, CBO typically can scale more efficiently over time. That's some of our experiences. I'm going to go through later when that might not be the case, but there's some pros. Now, some cons to using CBO in your Meta ads. Well, obviously, like I mentioned, testing can get skewed because you're not A/B testing exactly. You're not allocating certain budget spends across different ad sets. You're just allocating budget at the campaign level to go and distribute spend to what's working, right? So your testing can get skewed as a con, and some ad sets might not have, the fair share of budget allocation. Okay, so that's one important thing to bear in mind with CBO. You obviously have then less control over some of those balance tests. Okay, if you need to balance a certain amount of ad spend across those different ad sets, then you have less balanced budget allocations across those ad sets if you use CBO. But also another con is that it can favor old winners unfairly. Now, it kind of depends on how you see this, where you see the budget allocation going, but sometimes it can allocate budget to those ads that have been performing well in the past, instead of allocating spend to new creatives and testing those instead, you'll find that a lot of the budget will just be on a few different ads, right? Okay, so to give you a visual example here, this is where we might see some of the allocated ad daily budget spend, okay? So if ad set A is performing the best, Meta is going to push more budget to that because it's performing well. It's going to reduce the ad budget in ad set B or ad set C and allocate more to the things that are working, in this case, ad set A, okay? So as a visual breakdown, this is how CBO kind of acts, right? So it will allocate budget to the things that are working. Now, guys, what's ABO? And it's different to CBO. It's just slightly different, right? ABO is ad set budget optimization. I'm going to show you exactly where to find that. So it's not at the campaign level. In order for you to activate ABO, what you need to do is you need to turn off the budget campaign optimization at the campaign level. Okay, and you want to go to the ad set level here. This is now where we can allocate the budget, because we haven't allocated at the campaign level. We're allocating it at the ad set level, meaning that we have a lot more control over what budget gets assigned to what ad set, okay? Here under budget and schedule, this is where we can see the ABO features, right? Advanced ad set budget optimization. And for this, Meta can't reallocate budget to a different ad set. So you're strictly putting budget behind one ad set. So it's not going to adjust the budget depending on what's working. It's going to assign, I'm going to spend $20 a day on that ad set. You might have another ad set in here with $30 a day. And it's not going to go over or shift budget around like it would with campaign budget optimization. It's not doing a lot of optimization. It's just saying, right, okay, you're spending this much, but this is what the ad set is going to spend. Now, what is ABO great for? Well, ABO is great for A/B testing different audiences, different creatives, different placements. If you're testing that, it is a more vigorous way of A/B testing, okay? Because you're allocating even spend across different tests, okay? And you're not saying, okay, Meta, go and just want to double down and find us good results. Here, we're testing, setting up different ad sets to gain learnings from each audience, to get learnings from each creative type in order then to highlight those things that are working. So for ABO, you're doing more data gathering as well. Okay, so this is important if you're in the initial stages of things and you're wanting to find out what does work before you double down on the things that do work. You want to try and use ABO where you can and allocate specific testing budget to each ad set to ensure that spend is going on each test. Now, one thing I would say around this, around audience, is that something that we do quite a lot is that so to give you an example, at the ad set level, something we might do here, for example, is target the same audience within our ad structures, but then within each ad set have different groupings of different types of ad creative, okay, messaging, angles, hooks, types, all those things. We group those via ad sets. We can then allocate a certain amount of budget to each test in this example, but all of these are targeting the exact same audience, and we're grouping our ads via an ad set depending on the type of content it is: UGC, family photographics, future ad, FAQ videos, other graphics specifically. So we've grouped each creative type on each ad set, and then here we've allocated the daily spend to say we want to spend this amount on each of these creative tests. Okay, Meta really recommends going broad now. If you have a more mature ad account that has a lot of prime data in there already, go broad, test this, okay, have the audience is broad, and in this example, how we would apply it at the agency would say, okay, we've got broad audiences, and then we've got ad sets with groupings of different ad creatives. In the ad optimization now happens at the creative level. Okay, so if you have broad targeting switched on, that gives Meta all the leverage and all the power to go and find us the audience. I'm just going to look at the creative and say, who's going to resonate with this creative? If you have broad set on, then it gives all the power to Meta to go and find us people who are going to resonate with the creatives, okay? So creative is king, as Meta says as well. Definitely experiment around with this. If you have a relatively new ad account, I wouldn't suggest doing this right from the offset. You want to prime the ad account with some data, so the ad AI has some training data to know what it is that you're looking for before you open up broad. It could sometimes be a bit costly if you go broad straight away on a new ad account, because there are no training wheels and Meta doesn't know what is actually working at all for your ad account. So warm up with some training wheels by setting in some interest-based targeting, some custom audiences, and once you have maybe, let's say, 150 to 200 conversions come through, depending on obviously the value of that conversion, that goes Meta means that it's got a lot of conversion data, and it can go and train and find other people who are going to resonate with those things that your current audience has already bought. So making sure that you allocate this and give Meta all of the power to go and find us good results is super important. But guys, before we get anywhere else and you're new here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our important updates. We are here many times a week to help business owners, online advertisers, and digital marketeers get the best from their online advertising, paid media, and digital marketing strategies. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. So going back to ad sets budget optimization, okay? So I'm going to go back to our campaign that we're creating, and at the ad set level is obviously where the ABO is, the ad set budget optimization. Now, what is some pros of ABO? A pros of ABO is that you can get even distribution spend across every single ad set, meaning that your tests are a lot more AB-esque like. They're testing much aside from a couple of variables, okay? It's not optimizing like CBO is. It obviously forces Meta to allocate a certain ad spend to each ad set, okay? So again, in terms of minimizing the variables needed for an A/B test, this is really great. And what we typically recommend here is that ABO is great if you're testing new creatives or testing new audiences, just so you know where to think or how to think through this. That's kind of where we do creative testing using ABO and we do audience testing using ABO. Okay. The cons of ABO are that it can sometimes be slower to scale. You're not giving all of the optimization power to Meta to go and optimize and scale. So that's something to be wary of. And the other big con here, guys, is that Meta is still allocating budget to every single ad. You need to manually go in and disable the underperformers, okay, because it's automatically going to still carry on spending on the ads that aren't working, okay? It's distributing the budget evenly. So if you know that an ad isn't working, then go into the ad manager every single day and disable the underperforming tests. I'm going to stick a card in the top right-hand corner if you want to know what you need to look at in order to disable a Meta ad. I've made another video on how to do that, but it's really, really important that if you have ABO turned on, that you go on a very regular basis and disable those underperformers, because Facebook will continue spending on those ads. And if you aren't getting the results that you need, the CPAs that you need, the CPRs, you need to turn those off. Now, another pro tip here, guys, like I mentioned, we often test creatives and audiences in ABO. Then another strategy would then be to move those winners into a CBO campaign where you're doubling down and optimizing and trying to get the best part results possible. Okay, so we move those winners into a CBO campaign with Advantage Plus placements, so it doesn't matter where they get shown, and maybe some cost caps. I won't go into cost caps in this video, but super, super important and a bit more advanced if you're an advanced ad manager. I'll maybe make another video. Hit me a comment down below if you want me to make a video on cost caps. Another thing that you might want to do as an advanced tip is use something like an Advantage shopping campaign, an ASC campaign type, okay, then to do remarketing. So you do ABO campaign for testing, CBO campaign to optimize and to double down, and then ASC campaign or advanced shopping campaign to retarget those people. That could be a very simple ad campaign structure that you might like to follow. Okay, something that we do and test around with ourselves, and I highly invite you guys to test those kind of structures as well and see what results you get. Now, I wanted to go through this again because it's not coming up in my ad manager, but some of you guys have reported or have seen that the budget is now set at the campaign level. Okay, and we have two options here: campaign budget or CBO, or ad set budget ABO, okay, and we are setting that at the campaign level now. I haven't got it on, this is a slow feature that's being rolled out. I haven't got it on my ad account yet. So at the campaign level, Advantage budget, you'll be able to see here, it'll be a little pop-up which says, do you want CBO or ABO on? I think just to make things a bit clearer and easier for ad managers to select that. If you're seeing this, that's where you will find that particular setting. This is a new feature that is being rolled out. So take a look out for that, guys, and comment down below if you got any questions about that. And guys, just to summarize for you as an ABO screenshot, as an ABO graph, this is some typical spending trends that Meta will enforce when you have ABO turned on. Okay, so here we got ad set A, ad set B, and ad set C. And because we've set $50 a day to each ad set, it's spending $33 or $35 per ad set every single day across each ad set. Okay, it's not with the CBO allocating more spends to the ad sets that are working, it's just allocating budget evenly. So as I mentioned, there are a number of reasons or a number of benefits for this, and yeah, I highly invite you to go and test it for yourselves as well and utilize this as your overall campaign structure strategy. So guys, I'm going to go through tips and tricks for the advanced ad managers, some things to bear in mind, some things to think about as you think through your own ad campaign structures. Okay, first thing I'd say is the cost per purchase can impact your scaling logic. Right, what do I mean by that? If you're paying $40, for example, already on an ad set and you increase it by $20, that could potentially double your sales, right? Because you're increasing it by an extra 50%. But if you have an ad set at $150, increasing it by $20 won't move the needle that much. So Meta always says don't adjust it more than 20% in order so it doesn't go back into the learning phase. But that's why it's super important to look at the goal-based and not formula-based. So it might be that you need to reallocate some of your budget into a different ad structure, okay, if you are looking to increase the ad spend. It's something to be wary of, guys. If your CPA is already $100, increasing it by 20% is not going to move the needle much, okay? So think of it as a goal-focused strategy versus a formula-based strategy. Now, I mentioned this point already, but should all scaling be done in a CBO What about ASC? Advantage shopping campaigns are very, very useful if utilized the right way. And actually, some ad managers have reported that scaling on an advantage shopping campaign, it can be more forgiving when you're scaling that budget up and down. It's less likely to regress into learning and stuff like this. Since it usually has a dominant ad, increasing the budget there won't throw off the balance like it might do with, a CBO based the campaign structure. And that brings me on to the next point, okay? CBO versus ABO. ABO for testing, creatives, and audience. CBO for scaling, and ASC for retargeting potentially. Or you could use like broad scaling and cost caps in an ASC campaign. Maybe you could have like one campaign per country or something like this. So you can split things up a bit. The ASC is also a secret weapon within this formula. Now, this is super important that CBO balance. CBOs can actually break while scaling, right? And you may see this, you may find this, you may see other ad managers talking about this. So it's very important to pay attention and to analyze what's going on. I'll give you an example. So when your CBO finds a balance between different ad sets, obviously it's pushing the things that are working well. Bumping the budget can throw off that equilibrium balance, let's say. I've seen this happen myself. Suddenly, when we change the budget, Meta is trying to recalibrate the performance. And then what you might see is that the performance just tanks. And what I typically recommend doing for that is if you have got a CBO campaign, to duplicate that campaign with the new budget and then have them both running. So you're duplicating and scaling in a new campaign. Okay, this is a bit smarter way to move. So that's a tip number 4 that I'd have for you guys. Tip number 5 is a creative emphasis. What do I mean by this? Well, don't forget that optimization happens at the campaign level and at the creative level. That none of this will work if your creative doesn't hit the mark, okay? If Meta won't spend on it in CBO, don't force it, okay? There's a very good likelihood that the algorithm already knows what's working, and the reason it's pushing that one particular ad is because it's going to work the best, okay? So this is just another caveat to bear in mind, that sometimes the reason that on CBO, Meta pushes one particular ad more than others and doesn't have even distribution spend is because Meta knows which is going to perform best, and that's the one that it's pushing, right? So don't force it to let it do its optimization in CBO. Now, point number 6 is stop being emotionally attached when something doesn't work. Just because an ad works at $20 a day at ABO doesn't mean it will scale. As soon as you move that ad into CBO, the CBO will reveal the true winners, okay? So try to detach yourself emotionally from these results. Just because something works in ABO doesn't mean that it will scale, okay? And CBO actually reveals the true winners. So that's another pro tip for you guys. Point number 7, guys, is let CBO do its job, okay? Don't just slap a minimum spend on those underperformers just because you like them. Meta isn't spending on your ad for a reason, okay? Because it's not working. So let CBO do its job, guys. That's point number 7. Don't just slap a minimum spend on those underperformers just because you like them, okay? Again, kind of feeds into the point of being emotionally attached. Be very wary and cognizant of this. Point number 8, my second to last feedback is test within that CBO. Run your dynamic creative tests inside the CBO. This will allow you to get some real signals, right? And not any false positives. So as another pro tip, guys, is that if you've got dynamic creative tests or you've got flexible ads inside your CBO, that this will allow you to get real signals as well, not direct signals into each creative, because as we know, flexible ads can have multiple creatives in it. But if you have a dynamic creative inside the CBO, not separately, into different campaigns, you'll get real signals there, guys, and you won't get any false positives. So it's super, super important also to bear in mind. Now, the final note, guys, and the final point to all this that I will give as a pro tip is there's no one size fits all formula, okay? Blueprint thinking is not the way forward here, guys, and that's how a lot of advertisers get stuck. So I'm trying to encourage you and think through how you can do things logically and not mathematically, okay? So scaling should feel logical and not mathematical. And always consider, what's your cost per result, okay? That's always the thing at the end. Like, what is the ultimate cost of the thing that moves the needle and drives value for your business? So always have a think about that. And what are you actually asking Meta to deliver? What is acceptable to you and all those things? So that's my final pro tip, guys, is that if you are experimenting with a strategy, to note that there is no one-size-fits-all formula, to try new things, that we need to think logically and not necessarily mathematically. Just because it works well for one brand might not mean that it'll work well for your brand. So it's always, always, always worth testing. That's my pro extra tips. Hey, comment down below if you got any questions. So guys, if this helps and you want to go a bit deeper, I'm putting together a full training on meta ad structures, okay? Scaling systems and how to run tests like a pro. Drop your email down below to join the waitlist for exclusive access to the course. No fluff, just real-life strategies and real how-to walkthroughs so that you can apply it to your business too. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate appreciate every single one of you. Drop any questions if you've got any down below and I'll answer them in the next videos. I'm your boy Jerry the Ad Wizard. You can catch me on X and Instagram at Jerry Ad Wizard, on LinkedIn at Jerry Griffiths, and at Jerry Dreadlocks everywhere else. If you want to watch a video on how to harmonize your Meta Ads Manager with your ad AI and how to get the best from your conversion data and all of the in-betweens, click the video over here to learn the important elements of how to connect the ad user journey into the ad manager, into your pixel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And wherever you are in the world, I bid you peace and love and a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.